everyone, welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Decoded. I'm so excited for you guys to meet my new friend Kenneth today. I'm just so excited for you guys to meet him because he has a great voice and for awesome reasons. So I'm so excited for you guys to get to know him. So Kenneth, how you doing today?
Oh, very good, very good. I've got something for you.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. In a world of online networking and new business possibilities, Entrepreneurship Decoded stands as a guiding light. Join Alex Beakley for unswerving leadership and supreme business acumen on Entrepreneurship Decoded.
Nice.
Indeed,
Great.
just for you, just for you. So what's going on? I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I need that as my outro or something.
It's what I do.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So what have you been up to?
Yeah, I've just been busy as anything else, trying to figure out how to stay doing everything because I start school in a month now. It's the end of July, so yeah, a month now. So
nice. Yeah, being busy. I know that language. I'm busy every day.
Yeah, but I'd rather stay busy than not have anything to do. So
Indeed. Do you get the sense that in recent months that there are really no days of the week anymore? It's just today, just an endless today.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there isn't a specified week or weekend. It's just a day. So
Right. I know. Fortunately for me, I've been working remotely for so many years now in this little booth that the transition that I remember reading about back in March to the Zoom online networking events and so forth, it really wasn't a big deal for me. I do directed sessions with clients all the time, and it's either appear on Zoom or on Skype or over the phone. I even have a software called Source Connect that allows them to record me on their end if they like. So it's just second nature for me.
Yeah, I bet that really helped just with the process and not really having to pivot too much what you're doing to accommodate for all the changes that happen. So that's really awesome.
Absolutely.
But I would love to hear, usually when I ask, I love to hear the stories of, or the experiences you went through to get to where you are today, to get you on the path. So I would love to hear like your background and what you went through to do what you're doing now.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I kind of fell into voiceover work years and years ago back when I was in college. I was working at the Fort Sam Houston Post Exchange in San Antonio, Texas. And the company that runs the Post Exchange is called AAFES, the Army Air Force Exchange Service. And at the time I was working the front end, and this was back when I had hair. And scanners had also just been introduced. And so they were problematic at best, as you might expect. So I was constantly getting on the microphone for sporting goods to register 1 for a price check, please. Sporting goods to register 1 for a price check. And at the time, the guy who ran the entire complex, and a post exchange is a huge retail establishment with the attendant McDonald's and Baskin Robbins and everything else. And the guy that ran the entire complex, his name was Mr. Hodge. And he was doing the spot promos at the time. And spot promos are the little overhead announcements that you hear in department stores that, tell you about the specials going on. And he was doing them like this. Come to our sporting goods department for 10% off our tennis rackets. And if Mr. Hodge is still with us today, I love you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But that is how it was. And I remember the front end manager, she came to me and told me that Mr. Hodge wanted to speak with me. And I remember I was actually kind of freaking out a little bit because I'd only been working there maybe a month. And when I got back into his office, he immediately took me to this little room where he had a little dictaphone type recorder in it. He handed me the weekly, the daily, weekly, and monthly flyers and told me that I was going to be doing the voiceover spot promos for him from now on. And I remember what sold it for me was that he said, I've already told them up front, you work for me now. And so, of course, I was like, well, of course, sir, I'll take care of it for you. Absolutely. My pleasure. And, I did that for a long time. And in retrospect, I really wish I had stuck with it because I'd be so much further along now. Because I graduated from college. I got married, raised a family, worked in many other career fields. I taught gymnastics, martial arts, and jazz dance for over 20 years, ran a screen printing department for a sporting goods supply company, even worked in law enforcement for over 8 years. But what brought me back to voiceover actually started with a tragic event. I had just retired from law enforcement when I got a call from my aunt who was in Fort Smith, Arkansas. My father had been taken to the hospital for a stent replacement, but he had a heart attack right on the table. And so I went up there and I spent several weeks with him. And while I was up there, he used to love to watch those documentary shows, the Alaska documentaries, the science documentaries, the crime documentaries. He loved that stuff. And of course I love them too. They're very educational, and they're fun to watch. And so I remember saying to him, I said, Dad, you know, the guys that narrate those shows, I'm sure they make bucks. And he gave me this look. He gave me this real intense look. He said, you should do it. You used to do all that stuff. You used to do all those stage shows, which is true. I started in over 20 stage shows back in college. Used to do stand-up comedy, street buskering. I used to do all that stuff. And I remember at that time, I was looking for something to do with my life after I had retired from law enforcement. For the first time in my life, I really didn't have a path. And so I remember snapping to that and thinking, I can do that. I have done that. And so when I got back, you know, I made sure that he was okay. And fortunately for him, the doctors at that staff at Sparks Hospital in Fort Smith, amazing hospital. They gave him 6 more months. He passed away in October of 16. And which is obviously tragic, but he and I had the time many times after that to speak about the things that we needed to speak about. But when I got back home, I remember researching for everything I needed in order to start working in voiceover. And so I gathered it all up. It costs money. It takes time. And I've been working on it every day ever since. I mean, every single day. And that's pretty much the long and the short of it. And I need to say to people that are listening and watching that how I got into voiceover is the extreme exception. It's generally speaking, it is extremely difficult to break into the industry. And it's taken me many years to get to where I am right now.
Oh, that's amazing. I never knew that. I mean, you're watching those shows and you hear the people talking about it. It's like an animal section and they're talking about it, and you don't think that's an actual job, you know. But
Indeed.
it really is. Yeah,
it is
amazing that you found something that you're good at and can, I don't know, maybe it connects you to your father, that kind of thing. Maybe that gives you a motivational.
My true motivation. And you're right. Everything that has a voice attached to it. Children's toys, when you go to a gas station and you're pumping gas and the gas station pump starts talking to you, that's a voice actor. Web explainer videos, audio books, animations, video games, anything that has a voice attached to it, I audition for, and I've worked on in the past. It's a lot of fun. And yes, I feel like I'm honoring my father, but more to the point, my primary motivation for doing this is to leave a great legacy for my family, so that, like my father did for me. And I'm really not interested in being famous. The truth is that famous voice actors are the exception, not the rule. Don LaFontaine, Mel Blanc, the guy who voiced Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and all those great characters, those are the exceptions, not the rule. A good voice actor understands that he's part of a project and that his voice accentuates. It adds to the overall product. If a voice actor is drawing attention to himself in that product, then he's doing it wrong. And if you're not comfortable with that, then voiceover is not the thing to get into.
Huh. I'm curious, like, how you figured that out over time. Was there different times where you kind of were that figure where you kind of drew attention to yourself, or was that a lesson you just learned over time through all the years of experience?
Well, I'll tell you, when you're acting on stage, it's all about, dig me, look at me, I'm up here on stage. And for me, getting back into acting, I'd never really had any real formal training in it. It was just something I wanted to do because I knew I could do it. And like I said, it's kind of like, dig me. And, the rush that I used to get when I was on stage was amazing. It was like nothing else. And, whether it be comedy, drama, melodrama, anything, tragedy, whatever, musicals, I've been in musicals and I've sang and danced. And, that is where you're drawing attention to yourself. I mean, you're on stage and you're drawing attention. The attention is on you as an actor. But in voiceover work, and when I was working again for the Fort Sam Houston Post Exchange, it was me in the little room, and it was all about the voice. And, it's how you record your voice and the way you find the emotion in the lines and the script that conveys the message. The message is what's important in voiceover work, not, the attention to me as the person reading the message. I have to lend my voice to create an intimate connection between the brand and the consumer, and the brand's consumer. And that's really what it's all about. And as far as the realization, it was actually, when I was in college, I was doing these shows. So I understood, immediately the difference between, being on stage, and yes, you have to have your character refined. You have to have your lines down. You don't break character. Your attention is on you as an actor on stage in a cone of light. But when you're doing voiceover work, it's in a quiet space. Nobody's watching you unless you're in a recording studio. And then it's only a handful of people, the engineer, maybe the client, maybe a few other representatives of the middleman who's representing the client. But generally speaking, I work in this booth by myself. And back at the Fort Sam Houston Exchange, I worked by myself, and I did it for so long. And again, I just understood that it's about the message. It's not about me.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear about that and how it just came naturally to you and you found that difference. That's cool. You're an actor as well, and you did that. So did you do that in high school, or was that?
I remember the first stage show that I was in was in 6th grade. I played Dracula in the 6th grade elementary school play at the end of the year. And I remember memorizing my lines for it. And, I was actually surprised to get asked by my fellow students, but I guess back then I looked like Dracula. I don't know. But I remember it was a lot of fun. And, I didn't really do any stage acting in middle school or high school at all, really. It was when I got into college that, in the University of Texas at San Antonio. And I got wind that they were organizing a drama club, a drama group, and it ended up being called the Bargain Basement Players. And I don't know if they're still in existence. I hope they are, because it was so much fun. And again, it was I just wanted to, get back into it because I just knew I could do it. But me saying that, it's important to understand that, I had that experience to draw upon when I started doing the voiceover work for the Post Exchange. And it's important, voiceover acting is a performance art. It's not something, everybody needs to understand that. People say, oh, I've been told I have a great voice. Well, yes, that's great, but it's only the most basic starting point. It's a performance art. And on top of that, you need the proper equipment and a quiet place to record, and the patience and the perseverance to pursue it.
Awesome. That's really cool. So over the past couple of years, or since you started voice acting professionally, what have been the biggest challenges you've seen? And just like you said, it's hard to break into it, but have there been other internal, external challenges that you've had to overcome?
That's a good question. I think the hardest challenge in voice acting is motivating yourself every day to submit as many auditions as possible, because the chances, it's the simple fact is this: you're competing. It's a fiercely competitive industry, and you're competing against 10,000 plus good voiceover actors around the world. And there may be 500 to 600 jobs posted daily, and you need to audition for as many as you can. You need to jump on the awarded work as soon as you can. You need to turn it around as fast as you can. But the real challenge is motivating yourself every day to submit auditions, because a huge percentage of them, you never hear back from them. You submit an audition and you can't put your heart and soul in it, because chances are somebody else is going to get it, and you'll never know why you didn't get it. Just somebody else just got it, and that's it. It's if you can't handle disappointment, then this is not the business to be in, because rejection, and even that is the incorrect term. You just don't even hear anything back. You submit the audition, and you find out later that somebody else got it, and that's it. And you don't know why you didn't get it. So the real hurdle to overcome is to submit it and forget it. You do the very best job you can every single time you record. You submit it, and then you move to the next one. And I've been awarded jobs 20 minutes later to as long as a year later. And so, yeah, you just don't know. So it's really best not to dwell on it. And it's hard. That is hard. Obviously as a human being, you want to feel good about yourself, and you'd like to get that positive feedback, but you don't. You submit it, you forget it, and you move on. And you have to develop a mindset, and that is hard. It is very hard. When I jumped back into it 4 years ago, after I got back from Fort Smith, Arkansas, I had, obviously the high hopes, of being tremendously successful, and, started off reading audiobooks, which are fun. Audiobooks are a lot of fun because I get to play all of the characters. And so it reminds me of being on stage again in a lot of ways. A tremendous amount of work. Any voice actor listening right now will know that the audiobook is the marathon of voiceover work. But even there, you submit auditions and you never hear back. So the real hurdle in voiceover work is getting used to rejection, getting used to indifference, really. I mean, it may not even be rejection. Sometimes your audition doesn't even get listened to. that these casting agents, marketing directors, talent agents, they have jobs too, and they can't listen to 150, 200 plus auditions. They'll listen to maybe the first 20 that they received, depending upon whatever algorithm they use, or depending upon how they've delegated it to their staff. Their staff might only choose maybe 5 out of the 20 that they're given. Here, choose 5 of the ones that you like best, and let's get on the table and listen to them, and then pick one. And again, like I say, a lot of times you just don't hear back. You submit an audition and you just have to forget about it. And that really is, even today, it's still hard. I'll find out that I didn't get submitted, but I was on the short list, and I'm like, so close, so close. And some of these jobs are very lucrative. And, obviously I do the very best I can every single time. But yes, night, and jobs can be awarded. They can be awarded at like 10:30 on Thursday night or 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning. It's just, the business is very different that way. And so you have to be prepared. You have to be flexible on the awarded work. And there have been times, like I said, where, you don't even remember submitting the audition because it was months ago. And so you have to say to them, oh, wow, hey, yeah, that's great. Could you tell me which one that was again? And then you have to go back and listen to the audition. I'm like, oh, right. Okay. I remember now. But yeah, the real challenge is getting used to rejection, to the indifference, submitting it and just forgetting it. That is the hardest thing. It really is.
That's amazing. So how did you develop that mindset, or how were you able to just find that motivation each day? Is it just your passion for doing voiceovers, or is it more than that?
Well, it's that. I mean, I love doing this work. It is that, definitely. I love doing this work. I love recording. And when I get it to where it resonates with me, sometimes I just laugh out loud in here. But generally speaking, again, my primary motivation to be successful is to leave a good legacy for my family when I'm gone. And if I leave a great body of work as well that people can listen to and enjoy, well, then that's just icing on the cake. Developing the mindset, I suppose I had a leg up because of all the different career fields I've been in, and some of which I had to learn when I basically, like for instance, when I ran the screen printing department for a sporting goods company, I had to learn, I had been taught how to do the job a few months before I actually ended up getting the job. And the previous screen printer left to go to a different company. And then it was all on me. And athletic screen printing is a very different animal than printing t-shirts, which is what ordinary screen printing usually refers to. But when you're printing athletic jerseys of various different kinds of fabrics, it's an entirely different process. And I had to teach myself, and I failed a lot. And so, you learn a mental fortitude when you're learning something new. And that isn't to say that it isn't difficult, that isn't frustrating, that you don't get upset. I did. And I still do. I mean, I'm human. I still do. But it's something I've learned over many years of having learned, so many different career fields and worked in so many different career fields, and even having been on wilderness expeditions and all the different things I've done in my life that have required me to set aside my fear and to focus my attention on the basics and how this is done, and then just doing it. You just have to, eventually comes a point where you have to just do it. And, we learn by doing. So that really is the mindset for me. I decided when I got back that I was going to do this. I had done it before, at the Fort Sam Houston Post Exchange. I had done it before. Now that was years ago. I knew that it would undoubtedly be different, but I was prepared to learn all the new ins and outs. I was prepared to spend the money. I was prepared to take the time to build the booth. I was prepared for however long it was going to take to start achieving success. And it took a while. Years of promoting myself on social media, submitting auditions, not hearing anything. I mean, it was a long time before my first awarded job. And yeah, that was a tremendous sense of satisfaction when I did. But even then, after that first one, there was still another gap before I got another one. And only in recent months, like maybe in the last year or so, have the job started to become more frequent. Now I'm becoming known, and all of that work is starting to pay off. And yes, again, it was exhausting, disappointing at times, difficult, frustrating, all of those things. But again, you just have, if there's something you really want to be successful at, you just keep after it. You just keep doing it, and you set aside your disappointment. You set aside your emotional construct. You set it aside and focus on the task at hand. You focus on the preparation, you focus on the work, you focus on the auditions, and this holds true to anything. You focus on the work, and yes, it will be frustrating, but the pursuit of the excellence in performing the job yields its own rewards, and that's what I've discovered in my years in doing this.
That's a great mindset. I really appreciate that, and having people hear that. Like, that's something that I preach a lot as well, where it's like failure. If you're really passionate about something and you have that mindset, you can pretty much accomplish anything you want to, and you can do anything you can to get there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I love hearing that you also agree, and that's
Absolutely.
hearing your perspective is awesome as well.
Failure is a part of life. I mean, we're all, how many times did we fall when we were learning how to ride a bike? When I taught gymnastics, I used to tell the gymnasts, my team girls, the class kids, and gymnastics is an extremely hard discipline to learn. It takes years, right? And like anything worthwhile is not easy, right? So I used to tell them, I said, look, when you were learning to ride a bike, how many times did you fall off? And they were like, oh my God, they couldn't even tell me, right? Well, if you simply took the number of times that you fall or that you fail, and you just put that and you list that, well, if you just looked at that by itself, you would think, oh my God, I'm terrible at this. But, we all fail at what we're wanting to do. We all fail. It's a part of life. It's how you get up, brush yourself off, get past it, learn from it, and move forward. That's the true meaning of success. And that's what I've discovered here in doing this right here. That's what I've discovered. Because I have failed. I've messed up bad. My first directed session, I almost completely failed. It was my first international directed session, and I'd only done a couple before that. And a directed session, like I mentioned earlier, is when the client gets on Skype or Zoom or on the phone or on that software I mentioned, and they direct me live, and they tell me, okay, after I read the script, they say, okay, well, here, drop this line down. Let's put more emotion at the end. Here, we're going to read a few of the last sentence as a tagline, and I'm at their disposal. It can take 30 minutes for a short script up to hours. I recently was doing a script for a new video game for Sony PlayStation, and we were on the phone last Friday for hours working on it. And they've got even more. It's one of those characters where the character helps the player character learn how to use their weapon or how to navigate the video game world. So it's a pretty important character. But it's just something that requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of pain. And it's we're all going to fail. You just got to get up and keep going. And that's it. That's really the bottom line. I know it's easier said than done. It's so much easier said than done. But it's the simple truth. We all fail. It's how you get up and move forward that makes the difference. Because in the end, the striving for the perfection, because you'll never reach perfection. It's impossible to attain. But the striving for the perfect goal yields its own rewards. And yes, you will fail many times along the way, and you just have to accept it and move on.
Exactly. And if people just only understood that and knew that it's not the end of the world if something like that happens, or if they fail, make mistakes, it helps you more than hurts you if you have that mindset. So again, thank you for interpreting that. And so for the final couple of questions, I just would love to know more about, I guess it's not particularly a business, but exactly what you do is you're pretty much promoting yourself and what you're doing. So I'd love to know like some of the best projects you've worked on from it could be like the most lucrative or like the most fun projects you've done throughout your career in this, the voice industry.
Right. That's a good question. There are so many. Generally speaking, working on audiobooks is a tremendous amount of fun because, like I said earlier, I get to play all the characters, and generally speaking, playing the villain in those books is great because I usually push that to the limit. Because what makes a story great? A great villain. I mean, what would Star Wars be without Darth Vader? What would Batman be without the Joker? So a great villain, as nasty as you can make him, or as diabolical as you can make him, that's what makes a great story. So yeah, audiobooks are great fun to read. They are, oh my God, they are a bear to produce. I mean, you have to read the book cover to cover. You have to record it, edit it, master it. You have to collaborate with the author beforehand to make certain that he likes the voices you've come up with for the characters. But to answer your question about a specific project, that in that regard, my last audiobook for Stephen Moore, a great friend of mine, British author who lives in Mexico, The Feathered Serpent. Excellent book. He's a great writer, and it was just such a fun book to read. I think of all the books that I've read for him, I thought that The Feathered Serpent really was tight and fast. It pulled you right in, and it pulled you right along. And I just had tremendous fun reading that one. Now, in the business commercial realm, I think that the directed session I mentioned a short while ago, my international session, which going back to the failure question, basically what happened with that, and I forgot to tell you this, what happened with that is I had so many windows of audio files open on my computer screen that I couldn't remember which one the client liked the best. And after we got off the phone, I was like, okay, thanks a lot, appreciate it. And then I had all these open windows of various WAV files on my screen. And I'm like, oh, which one was the one they liked? And so I ended up zipping them all up and sending them to them, and it was fine. But oh my God, the panic that set in was terrible. But in the business commercial realm, that particular project, it turned out to be a great video presentation for a real estate company down in Colombia, South America. And it's just beautiful to watch. The musical score in the background is just wonderful. I just love seeing it. There are just so many. There are so many. It's just a wonderful, once you start achieving success, there are so many new creative projects in the animation side. I can't say too much about it because it's still being submitted to film festivals. But I was approached last fall by the graduates, a group of graduates, seniors from the Ringling College of Art and Design in Florida. And they wanted me to read a character for their animation. And it turns out that this particular character was so much fun, and that their animation, once they put it together, it won first prize out of the entire graduating class, which is saying something, because I watched every single production of the whole graduating class, and oh my God, it was excellent. All of the animations were excellent. The future of that industry is secure. These young artists, these young animators that are coming out of these colleges now, oh my God, creative and just beautiful animation, down to the finest detail of the fur on the characters, just wonderful, and great creative ideas. And to have the one that I was a part of win first place, and then they're going on to submit it to several film festivals, and I signed an NDA, so I really can't say too much more than that. But that particular one, I am so looking forward to when all the film festivals are finished, and then I can put that on my website and post it far and wide on social media, because, oh my God, that one is so good. And I just had a tremendous amount of fun doing that one. But it's just, there are so many that is just so, yeah, every project, when I deal with people, the creative team on the other end on the directed session, it's just great. I get to meet these people. A lot of times they're young people who it's their first time working with a voice actor. I can just tell on the phone or on Skype. We're all talking amongst themselves. It's a whole group of people at the table. And I can tell they're having fun because, oh my God, this is so cool. We're working with a voice actor for our project. And so I do everything I can to make it go smoothly. I've rehearsed the script beforehand. I offer ways to structure it so that it goes smoothly. We can either hit record right now, record everything we're saying, including my readings of the script, or we can do the directions, we can talk, then I can announce that I'm recording, announce that I'm finished, and then talk about it in between. And I try to assist them every single way I can in order to make it go smoothly. And it's always it's just so much fun. And truthfully, and I think any voice actor will agree with me, that the directed session in voiceover is really the way to go. You get the client on the phone or on Skype or on Zoom, and right then, during that period in time, they can give you all the direction they can think of, and you can offer all the various interpretations and permutations of the script right there live. And the understanding is that once it's all finished, we're finished, and then I can bill them. Now, revisions are a part of the industry. Sometimes they'll come back and say, hey, can we redo this or can we do that? But generally speaking, the directed session is, if you want to be considered a serious voiceover professional, you need to be prepared and able to do directed sessions. And those are really, I guess, to answer your question, the directed session really is what's fun for me, because it's nice for me to get on the phone with people or on Skype and actually talk to people when I'm in this little booth, because I'm in it all day long. I'm in it so much that I need to take vitamin D pills. It's ridiculous. So, anyway.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a fun project to do, and being able to get all that stuff done out so you can be productive at the same time and not have to worry about all that kind of stuff. So that sounds really cool. I'm really impressed with what you're doing. And even though it's not like a particular business, what you're doing is like providing your services through what you're good at, your voice, and really providing value for different things, like you said, for movies, video games, audiobooks, all these different things. So I think you've definitely opened my mind to that whole industry together, because you see those things. And the one thing that I think about when I think of a voice actor, I think of Mr. Doubtfire, where Robin Williams is like the voice actor at the beginning. So that's
Right.
like the only thing I had to interpret that whole industry. But now, yeah,
Right.
thank you for opening my mind to that. And
Well, at the beginning of that movie, when he's doing his lines into the microphone, that's it. That's what we do. We're in a booth or in a studio recording the script and pushing the characterization to the limit. Or if it's a business commercial piece, then it's different. It may not be announcery. A lot of times these days they're not wanting radio announcer type voices. They're wanting more conversational, more believable, more guy next door kind of readings. But that's generally how it is. There's a microphone. It's just you and you're reading the script. And you mentioned it earlier. The value of voiceover work is that it creates an intimate connection between the brand and the consumer. It gives a message, a voice to the project, to the business, to the product. And people will watch bad video to the end. I mean, we see that all the time. When you see people with their phones and they're like, you see video that's like this all the time, right, on people's phones. Well, people will watch that to the end. But if the audio is all scratchy and hard to listen to, people tune out immediately. And so a good voiceover with a great video production is what really creates a great connection with the audience, whether it be a dramatic presentation, whether it's a business commercial presentation, whether it's a video game presentation, whether it's an audiobook. The voice that's attached to the product. And some mediums are strictly audio, like radio, certain podcasts, certain audiobooks for sure are strictly audio. It's all about the voice. And if that's off, if the brand hasn't selected, and it's very subjective. This is something that, again, aspiring artists need to understand. This goes back to why it's so difficult. Sometimes the clients don't know what they're looking for until they hear it. And so it's very subjective. So, you have to offer your best, the best interpretation you can that matches the script, because every script determines its own way to be read. I look at a script and I can tell, okay, I look at the business, this is the audition for an insurance company. And then here's the script. They're wanting to establish the value to their consumer, that we're there for you no matter what's going on. And so you have to have a more softer, more compassionate, like hospitals, for instance, healthcare type videos, also very soft, compassionate, as opposed to Ford style, as opposed to, certain truck commercials have that strong voice, So every script has its own way to be read. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's a difficult thing. It's not easy by any stretch. There's nothing easy about this. People say, oh, wow, voiceover talent. Well, so you just get to record all day. Nah, yeah, well, yeah. But there's way more to it than that. There's way more to it than that. It's very, very hard work. Hard work.
that's really awesome, though, that you're able to just stay motivated and keep going and doing it every day. So that's really an inspiration, hopefully to more than just me. But
it's yeah. Okay. So yes. Yes. I stay motivated every day, but I'm human. It's hard sometimes. It's hard. It is hard. It's like anything. Nothing worthwhile is easy. So yeah, it can be hard sometimes. But again, I've achieved. What it boils down to me is that nothing succeeds like success. And I have achieved enough success to know that I can pursue this, that I can continue after it. And I can maintain the vision of being successful. Achieving some success and being successful, they're two different things. But I've achieved enough success to know that I can continue my course toward being successful. And it's a wonderful thing. It really is. It's wonderful. And I'm extremely grateful for it. Grateful for it every day.
That's amazing. So, final question. I usually ask like business owners this, but I think you would have a good answer as well. And you kind of talked about it a little bit with failure and motivation. But if there was anyone who wanted to either just voice acting, or wanted to start something, but they were either afraid or they had obstacles in their way, or they started and they're at a pretty much between a wall and a hard place, what advice would you give them to either continue or to be kind of more observing in their their path when they go down it?
Well, if we're speaking strictly on voiceover work, then I always, because I get asked all the time, I get asked so much that I've written blog posts addressing the question. But I always tell aspiring talent to get some coaching first. And you want to get a good coach who has good accolades, a good body of work under their belt, and who also understands where the business is heading. And you also need to be prepared to listen to your coach. And you want an honest coach. You want a coach who will tell you, hey, you're doing great. Let's continue on this. Let's work on this. Or you need to be prepared to hear, you may not want to quit your day job, because that can happen. But generally speaking, as far as voiceover work, if you get the coaching and you have the aptitude, which means they'll also sit you in a studio with people watching you. It's not for everybody. Like anything, it's not for everybody. But if you have the aptitude, then you need to be prepared to spend the money to get the good equipment. You have to be prepared to build the quiet space to record. You have to be prepared to spend the time, because it will take a lot of time, tremendous amount of time, to promote yourself, record, submit auditions, network, every angle that you can think of to get your name across as many casting directors, marketing directors, talent agents' desks that you possibly can, to where they start to, become known to them over time. Well, what about this guy, Kenneth Bryant? Let's listen to his again. Oh, well, what was wrong with that? What's wrong with that? And at least I hope that, that my name is coming across their desks and they're playing it over and over and saying, hey, well, what's wrong with that one? He sounds great. But the bottom line is if there's something you really believe in, and if there's something you really want to do with your life, and if you want to achieve success in, the key is to stay focused on it and not give up. You have to persevere. You have to be prepared to improvise, adapt, and overcome. You have to constantly work on it and learn to get better. You have to be open to new ways of doing things. Okay. You have to be prepared to put in the hours. Running a business, it also involves keeping the books, advertising. It also involves, managing your accounts receivable, managing the people that you've already recorded for. Hey, it's been a while. How are we doing there? Do you need me to send the invoice to you again? That happens sometimes. You have to. The key is, if there's anything, and this holds true to anything, if there's something that you want to do in your life, don't give up. If this is what you truly want to do, if it's what you love to do, don't give up. Stay on it. Learn everything that's new in the industry, whichever industry it may be, and implement it into what you're doing, and just keep going. Because yes, there will be difficult days. There will be days again, like we were discussing, you will fail, but you pick yourself up, you keep going. Don't give up. That's it. Don't give up. Just keep after it. Persevere, determination, improvise, adapt, overcome, and be prepared to work. That's another one. Work. It's a 4-letter word. Work. You have to work to be successful. Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to work to make it happen. And if it's what you want, and if you work on it and you stay after it and you keep an open mind, it'll happen.
That's great. I think that's a great way to end. And I love getting to know you and just sharing your story and learning new things about the voice industry, what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. So if people want to get in touch with you either for voice acting or anything like that, how can they do that?
They can reach me through my website, kennethbryantvoicetalent.com.
Awesome. And if people can see, if people are listening, he has it on his poster behind him, but I will put that in the description so you guys can just click on that and go look for yourselves. So thank you, Kenneth. I really had a great time getting to talk to you today and just, again, sharing your story. And for anyone listening or watching, like I said, Kenneth's information is down below, as well as my information. So if you guys are getting in contact with him or me, it's all down there. So I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate it. You take care.
Yeah, you too.